Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. On Facebook, we're streaming live on 3FM 927. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. This afternoon, the Ghana Police Service is discussing security issues with political party representatives in the lead-up to the December 7 general election. We are live at the National Police Headquarters. Also coming up on the program, Electoral Commission set to burn defective ballot papers for the Ahafo and Voter regions. We'll bring you live updates as the EC undertakes this exercise in the presence of heavy security and party agents. And much later, Ghana Football Association dissolves management committee of the Black Stars. We'll give you details. Very much for joining us this afternoon. This is your Election Command Center. Let's go now to the headquarters of the National Police Service, where the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akofo Dampare, is addressing party representatives and other stakeholders.
Then submit yourself to the police. We deal with you in accordance with the law, because even now prisoners even can vote. Other than that, you continue to be on the run. The election will be over, because wherever we find you, we will deal with you. And that's the message. So that one too, we thank you so much for working together and bringing us that far when it came to all the registration, transfer of vote, exhibition of the voter register and everything. With a pocket of incidents, on the whole, it was excellent, and we commend you also for that. Another commendation, which goes to your leadership, especially the the presidential candidates and all the officials crisscrossing the country. How far you've conducted yourselves in the whole campaigning process. That we have about 2 weeks, 15 days or thereabout, into the elections. And so far, with a few pockets of incidents, we haven't heard anything that is beyond the control in terms of maintenance of law and order. And at times, people are even saying, foreigners who came to Ghana are finding out whether truly we are having election in this country, compared to even the tension in other environments, including the well-established democracies in their recent elections, which the tension is nowhere near what we are experiencing as a people. And if there are people to be commended, it's you. And we can say it's a new dawn of politics in Ghana, and we are proud of you as politicians, and we are proud of you as Ghanaians, and we thank you, and we pray that the rest of the period for the campaigning, you bear with us for us to walk through this successfully and be able to show to the world that indeed the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. I also want to make one point clear, and that's our commitment towards ensuring that there is peace, security, law, and order in this country. You said it with the mantra: where we need to engage, we will engage. Where we need to de-escalate, we will de-escalate. But where we need to be merciless when it comes to the application of law within the context of rule of law under our democratic dispensation, we can tell you that for the sake of the sanctity of the state called Ghana, which our forebearers left it in peace for us to live it in peace for our generation following us, probably and possibly and obviously our children, will stop at nothing. And I repeat, we'll stop at nothing to get it done to the glory of God and for the benefit of the generation that will come after us. So we want to assure you that. We equally want to assure you, with all the concerns coming, we'll enter into that discussion when the press is out. But we equally want to assure you that we are committed and will continue in this regard to put Ghana first, to put the Ghanaian first, to put the African first, and to put the black man first, and not to take sides in anything. Because at the end of the day, if we do that and something happens, it will affect all of us. And more importantly, it will affect our children that we love so much. And we are not, collectively we say, going to allow that. The next point I want to make on behalf of my colleagues is the fact that we as politicians have to be realistic. Realistic in the sense that, looking at the presidential ballot, there are 12 presidential candidates on it. 13. According to the EC, as at this morning, there are 12. So we will do that reconciliation. But the 12 presidential candidates on it, or the 13, depending on where you got your information from, and hopefully this is not misinformation, disinformation, because I know later, when it comes to anything Africa and beyond, and the world is looking up to us. So when we do that by being very circumspect with our expectations, knowing that only one will win, and knowing that only 276 will win and the rest will fall by the roadside, and as long as the systems and everybody plays their role and ensuring that there is fairness, there is transparency, and everybody is comfortable, when Ghana finally win in this call or in this regard, and the Ghanaians also win in this regard, it is a win for the black man, and it's a win for the African. Because at the end of it all, people always think that we cannot get it right. Let's prove them wrong. And as some of our colleagues said, you think you have friends, wait until you are in a situation that you need help badly. It's then that you will say that you are alone. Let us protect what we have. And when we do that, we will be doing a great service to ourselves and to our children and those that will come after us. And in doing that and in this discourse, it is on that note that we continue to reassure you of our commitment to ensure that we play our role fairly, professionally, firmly, and also within the rule of law. And when we do that, all what we also expect from you, and also from all the other stakeholders, is also for them to play their role in a way that, as it was said, when the different parts come together, the beauty of it goes beyond anybody's imagination. So as we look forward to engaging you and letting you tell us what the issues are, we want to once again remind you that we are ready for the elections, and we have put in place sufficient plans, and we need your support and cooperation to ensure.
Election Command Center, we just brought you that live coverage of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, addressing representatives of political parties at the national headquarters of the police service. And we'll be speaking to a security analyst, Dr. Victor Docker, very shortly. But let me just remind you of what the IGP just told us on your Election Command Center in that live coverage we just brought you. He said that the police administration will stop at nothing to ensure there is peace going into this year's general election. He also talked about the administration's preparedness to put Ghana first and also not to take sides. He talked about 801 people vying for the 276 parliamentary seat, and of course highlighted the fact that only 276 will win, and so there's a need for these representatives to manage their expectations. As long as they are planning on how they will celebrate their victory, they should also think of how they will manage their defeat, and talked about the fact that the police will play its role fairly, professionally. There's a need for us to protect the peace of Ghana, and also, yes, so basically that's what the Inspector General of Police just told us a while ago. And the IGP also reaffirmed or reiterated the point he made yesterday when he met media practitioners yesterday, that anybody who plans to foment trouble will be dealt with. And that's why he talked about the police will stop at nothing to ensure there's peace. Dr. Victor Docker is a security consultant and a lecturer. I just told you about him. He joins us live on the line as well. Good afternoon to you, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good day to you.
Doc, security is a major issue going into this year's election, and I'm sure with the comments from the IGP just a minute ago, you probably would agree with me on this. We're just 16 days away. The police, and we just picked that press conference, holding meetings with stakeholders. Yesterday was with media personnel, today with party representatives. Really, how important are these engagements towards de-escalating the tensions, as it were, going into the December 7 polls?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, these engagements are very critical in the times that we are in. When you look at the phases, or you talk about the phases of elections, the pre, the during, and then the after, it is essential that the stakeholders, security stakeholders, the Election Security Task Force, led by the police, by the IGP, meet all stakeholders, civil society organizations, state and non-state actors, and then try to inform them about the measures, preventive measures against, activities that will go contrary or demand the peace that we have, and then take them through step by step what they have put in place for these stakeholders to be informed. By that, the citizens will also be informed about the measures, the processes that have been laid down with regards to security and ensuring and safeguarding the ballot, so that it would build some sort of confidence. The tensions that are rising with regards to the campaign, the elections, will now be eased up. So essentially, these engagements are very important with regards to multi-stakeholder collaborations when it comes to security and enforcing and ensuring that there is peace before, during, and after the elections.
What would you expect them to do across the regions? Because the IGP spoke from the headquarters. Of course, media agencies like ourselves, we're carrying it, and our affiliates will be carrying the information to the various regions or constituencies. But what about other active works within these areas to ensure that, when the political party representatives have gone to say whatever it is they have to say, the people remember that security agencies are also telling them this?
Yes, so now it all boils down to how we ensure that the community level is also aware of these measures. And that is why I think he's gone through the process of engaging the media houses and then other, traditional media houses also. Now, the issue here is the message being passed on. How does it disseminate well with the people at the grassroots? As you mentioned, the followers, the supporters of these political parties, they are the issue. What exactly do their candidates or their leaders tell them? And what they tell them is what they are going to do. Now, if the IGP has made assurances that for security, everything has been laid out, how about we, inform or disseminate, educate, sensitize against misinformation, disinformation, the use of artificial intelligence? How do we ensure measures, to deal with existing conflict that may have some political undertones do not flare up when it comes to declaration of results? How do we deal with false declaration of results by the candidates themselves and a host of, threats? How do we all look at these things? So I think more clarity, more specificity should be given to the measures. They should be taken one by one, and then with regards to dissemination, I think we should also look at other channels. I think the social media is there now as a powerful tool. So how do we use those ones also apart from the traditional media? And I think by and large, everybody will get to know the measures that have been placed and then see the severity of the case with regards to the context of elections.
You talk about specificity and also clarity. Beyond that, we heard the IGP say that if you look at our current atmosphere, it is not as tense as you'd find in other places, perhaps on the continent. Would you say that maybe the politicians are also doing their work well? They could be contributing to this current atmosphere we have?
Well, it differs in opinions. Now, you can say from a security standpoint, yes, with regards to the levels of activities that can contribute to rise of tensions has somewhat diminished. It's only 16 days, getting closer. What are we to expect? Now, politicians are also playing their part, yes, but then at this moment, everybody is busy campaigning, so much of tensions in the pre or before cycle is not much of a concern. The issue is the during and then the after, declarations of results after, and the during. How do we ensure that these same politicians will adhere to the rules and regulations? That these same politicians will ensure that the party agents in the various polling stations adhere to the law? That the security services that have been posted to these various polling stations would adhere to the moral standards and ensure neutrality? Okay, that observers who are also there will pick up the right information and report on. Now, the critical aspect here is the during and before, and the during and then the after. For the before, we've had engagements. He's talking, engaging, but I think we need to have, if they don't have it, a very critical, responsive mechanism, okay, to probable pockets of disturbances that we may experience in some polling stations, and how swiftly they deal with it. Build up, intelligence, coordination between the service and other security agencies. The promptness and the quickness reaction will determine how quickly we deal with pockets of violence if they arise. And then for the politicians, I think one thing that we need to understand is that speaking to the incumbent is very critical, as much as speaking to the opposition. Now, we need to hear more of, the aspect of engaging with the incumbent and opposition with regards to them adhering to the rule of law. Contrary to that, there shouldn't be any kind of, resistance in picking up or in arresting any candidate, any personality from those divides that go contrary to the rule of law. I think when that happens, the trust will be built more in the service, and no politician, no candidate will try and go contrary to the law, especially in the during and after session of these elections.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Victor Doka. He's a security consultant and lecturer. You heard him there giving his analysis of what is going on so far as regards the meetings with the Inspector General of Police and stakeholders ahead of this year's general election. Well, still on this, the Electoral Commission is about to destroy a quantity of electoral materials for the Ahafo and voter regions which had mistakes in the serial numbers. Christian Yale is monitoring events for us. He joins us live on the line. Chris, what can you tell us?
All right, so as I talk right now, we are on the way to Nsawam with a team of Zoom Lion officers as well as heavy security personnel who are accompanying us together of the Electoral Commission, and also we are joined by a couple of party agents who are all going to observe the burning of the shredding of the ballot papers for the Ahafo and voter regions, which were replete with mistakes in the serial numbers. And this was identified through the Electoral Commission's internal audit that it instituted across all the printing houses. What happened was that at this particular printing press that took charge of the Ahafo and voter region ballot papers, they had an issue with the automated, serialization process. And so what happened was that they had to adopt a manual process to serialize the ballot papers, which came with gaps. And so the EC took a decision to shred all of these ballot papers. So we are just about getting to the main destination, the final destination, where all of these ballot papers would be shredded or bent completely in the presence of all of these parts. But what we know is that we have about 3 trucks that are loaded or packed with these ballot papers, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Christian Yale, for bringing us details of that exercise being undertaken by the Electoral Commission. Let's bring you some sports news now. The Ghana Football Association has dissolved the management committee of the Black Stars. We're wondering why. We do have sports journalist Michael Otieje. He's a sports journalist here at Media Journal. He joins us live in studio. Michael, are you able to tell us why at this time?
Well, it's related to the events of the Black Stars in the last few days. Remember, last week Friday, the Black Stars failed to qualify for the Nations Cup off the back of that failure to beat Angola in Luanda. It meant that Ghana couldn't qualify for the Nations Cup, and then that coup de grace was completed when the Black Stars lost against Niger on Monday. It meant that for the first time in 20 years, since 2004, the Black Stars will be absent from the Nations Cup. It also meant that in the last 6 international matches under coach Ogbodu, the Black Stars have lost 3 and drawn 3. Basically, the culmination of all that has been a significant deal of anger and frustration over where Ghana football is heading towards. So the Ghana Football Association Executive Committee, which is a bit like the board of the body, met yesterday. It's a role where everybody there is elected. Met yesterday and reviewed how the team has performed and came up with a number of decisions. Primary to those decisions, they came up with one of the key decisions was to dissolve the management committee. Now, the national teams are managed at the sub-level by management committees. Then you obviously have the administrative staff and all that, but every national team, be it the Black Stars, the women team, have management committees.
And Ogbodu is part of the management?
No, he's not. He is the coach of the team, but those who make sure that the travel arrangement is right, this goes well, that goes well, basically who plan and prepare for things is the management committee, and they've become the first casualty. But it's not unique. Management committees are changed over and over again. In many cases, a lot of them still find themselves back onto it. There's a great deal of recycling of those committees, so I don't think people should get too excited by that.
That's quite serious, and I'm glad you talked about the anger, because there have been strong sentiments following these events, to an extent that recently at a press conference, as a fan was like, "You're not a coach," was even referring to the coach as not qualified to occupy his position.
He was a sports journalist. I think there's been a significant amount, and rightly so, scrutiny of what Ogbodu has brought to the team and his own culpability in all this. I think that a lot of people involved in the sports, like myself, convinced that this is Ogbodu's failure, given that this is the 4th coach under Ketu Kweku where nothing has gone right. It's a reflection of the a higher malaise with leadership in the Ghana Football Association. Ketu has done some brilliant work in a lot of areas, but with the national team, it's been absolutely bad. The junior teams are not thriving. The women team do okay. The Black Stars have been quite bad under his watch, dropped to their lowest ranking in a mighty while. The Black Stars have not won in a long time. This year, the Black Stars have won only 2 games. It's under his administration that the Black Stars failed to get out of the group stages of back-to-back Nations Cups in 2021 and 2023. And then it's been under his watch that the Black Stars have failed to qualify for anything. In addition, the qualifiers was the first time since the group phase of the qualifiers were introduced that Ghana didn't win any game. The Black Stars drew 3, lost 3. Ghana is one of 5 countries who didn't win any game. Some of the other countries include Chad, Madagascar, Eswatini. So everything about the Nations Cup, when you break down the results, speaks to an unbelievable level of decay in the Black Stars, and I think that's what a lot of people are frustrated about.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one: the future for Ogbodu, and indeed the bit about recently we even spoke about the changes he made where he didn't even include the IUs. We thought that those were, part of processes to kind of make the team better.
Well, the GFA statement that he issued to update us on what happened at the meeting was silent on his future. Silent as in it didn't say whether he was staying or he was going. I thought it was a bit instructive, though, that he said that he had called another meeting for next week, Wednesday, to to discuss his match report. So not just to discuss his report from the qualifiers, but also to discuss how he has done since he's been put in place. Basically, he is having a performance appraisal with the executive committee. And the reason this is significant is because the idea was that Kurt was so in love with Ogbodu that by whichever ministry he was going to stay. Two inferences from this for me. Either this is just part of all a dressed up process to say, well, we went through the process and we are convinced that he's good for the future, so we want to keep him, or we are going to come to a conclusion where the rest of the executive committee say that having reviewed what Ogbodu has done, and this is what he's done in his period here, he's played 10 matches, he's won 2 in the World Cup qualifiers, he's lost a great deal of them. 4 of those games he lost to Nigeria, first time since 2002. Then he lost those 3 Nations Cup qualifiers. He's drawn 3 of them in the qualifiers, 1 friendly against Uganda. I think that they will review all that and then come to the decision. But they will also review, as you mentioned, his handling on a lot of dynamics within the team. His man management reflected in the issues around their use, the issues around Thomas Partey and the rest. So it will be quite a complicated meeting.
Thank you very much, Michael Otieje. And Michael Otieje is a sports journalist here at Media General, bringing us updates from the Black Stars. And that's it for the news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Coming up next is Business Daily with Michael Ogbodu. Don't go away.
And hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Ogbodu. Coming up, National Insurance Commission urges insurers to leverage technology to boost penetration in Ghana.
And I won't say that.
By all stakeholders to grow the industry. An important ingredient for this growth is the deployment of technology and innovation.
Also, Ghana Real Estate Developers Association laments the construction sector sees no impact months after legislative instrument to regulate cement prices in Ghana.
Calls on the cement manufacturers to go through some processes to get to the point where government will then certify their prices. And I'm not seeing any action in that area. I've spoken to some of the cement manufacturers recently. I think it's silent.
Plus, producer price inflation surges to 33% in October 2024. I am Michael Ogbodu. Details of these and more coming up shortly. Please stay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, and the producer price inflation PPI for October 2024 recorded a significant year-on-year increase of 33%, marking a 2.5 percentage point rise from the previous month's rate of 30.5%. This sharp acceleration in producer inflation indicates a continued upward trend in the cost of goods and services produced in Ghana.
The month-on-month change in the producer price inflation PPI between September and October 2024 was 3.0%, further highlighting the inflationary pressures facing the economy. The industry sector, excluding construction, experienced a substantial increase in inflation, rising from 43.3% in September to 48.8% in October. The construction sector also saw a notable rise, with its inflation rate reaching 31.5% in October. The services sector maintained its inflation rate at 12.4% in October. While the overall PPI surged, there were disparities across different sectors. The mining and quarrying sector recorded the highest inflation rate at 54.3%, surpassing the national average. In contrast, the water supply, sewage, and waste management activity had the lowest inflation rate at 4.1% in October. The persistent rise in producer prices has significant implications for the economy. It can lead to higher consumer prices as businesses pass on increased costs to consumers. This in turn can erode purchasing power and dampen economic growth. The producer price index measures the average change over time in the selling prices received by domestic producers for their output.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, months after the implementation of the legislative instrument LI aimed at regulating cement prices in Ghana, key players within the construction industry are yet to experience any significant changes in pricing. Despite the new legal framework, cement prices continue to rise, putting additional pressure on construction projects and the broader real estate sector. Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, Samuel Amegaibo, in an interview expressed frustration over the lack of tangible effects from the new regulation.
I'm not sure that LI is actually even working, because before it will start biting, there are certain processes that they go through. And if you look at the LI, it's a course on the cement manufacturers to go through some processes to get to the point where government will then certify their prices. And I'm not seeing any action in that area. I was speaking to some of the cement manufacturers recently. I think it's silent. I don't know what is happening, but whether they really intend to enforce it, I'm not sure. But currently, for us as developers and buyers, we don't see anything. We are doing our business as usual. Cement is on the market. Prices have been going high, but that's the order of the day. So far as the dollar is rising, we are all businessmen. We understand where this is happening. So we are just staying afloat and trying to stay and do business.
Samuel Amegaibo is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA. Now, despite ongoing efforts, insurance penetration in Ghana remains significantly low, with the informal sector still marginally represented. Speaking at the official launch of Pinnacle Life Insurance, Acting Commissioner of Insurance Michael Kofi Ando emphasized the importance of leveraging digital tools to enhance the sector's growth.
The insurance industry still remains significantly small, and there is the urgent need for concerted effort by all stakeholders to grow the industry. An important ingredient for this growth is the deployment of technology and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore important to note that the deployment of technology and innovation is a key theme in the new Insurance Act 2021, Act 1061. The Act has provisions for innovative insurance licenses to test and incubate innovations. The Act also has elaborate provisions on inclusive and index insurance. An innovation unit has been set up in the NIC to lead and guide the deployment of technology and innovation in the industry. A regulatory sandbox framework has been designed and implemented, and a new inclusive insurance strategy has been finalized.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Insurance has also outlined the regulator's commitment to fostering sectoral growth, noting several ongoing initiatives aimed at improving market inclusivity and accessibility.
The NIC also pursues other initiatives to encourage and promote growth in the industry. Currently going through implementation of IFRS 17, the NIC is also developing a risk-based capital framework which largely will align the risk profiles of insurance companies with their capital levels. There are also efforts to improve actuarial capacity development in the industry to ensure more actuarial inputs to improve efficiency and profitability. There's the construction of a Ghanaian mortality table to enable life insurance companies to apply Ghanaian indicators in price developing and pricing products. Finally, there are still efforts ongoing to develop an annuities market. The above, if diligently pursued to logical conclusions, should lead to a strategic improvement in operations, growth, and financial viability of the market.
So that was Acting Commissioner of Insurance, Michael Kofi Ando. They're bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend with Black Kobe. Stay tuned.